Good evening. You're listening to Collateral Damage on KDHX, Community Radio, 88.1, St. Louis, Mo. I'm DJ Wilson. That's Fred Hessel.
How you doing, Dick?
So far, so good. We have a guest on tonight who hasn't on his last name wasn't on.
1,000 apologies again.
The voice you hear is Antonio French of Public.net. And he's on for the whole half hour. This is sort of like the Lewis Reed Hour of Power.
I think so.
We have Antonio French, who is on the Lewis Reed campaign, who's the new aldermanic president, and the second half hour of the hour. Yeah, so the hour of power, Don Navarro, Thomas Cronin, and Doyle, the newly elected aldermanic president, Lewis Reed, will be on in the studio.
And I'll admit to, I saw Thomas's post that Lewis Reed is going to be on, so I said, well, let's give Antonio the opportunity to redeem himself.
Yeah.
Because it's fair and balanced, so,
It is an opportunity to build. He can build Lewis Reed with
his 30 minutes.
Antonio has not been on with us since before the election. Lewis Reed.
So we should talk to him.
Yeah. I must confess, as I've confessed already on here, I totally called that one wrong. And I had Mr. Shrewsbury winning, and I apparently made a mistake.
I think most people do. I don't think there are many people. Even Rivas from the New York City Chronicle said, it has to kind of be a perfect storm of events for Lewis Reed to win. And essentially,
and the Doppler radar came in.
that's true. But yeah, a lot of things happened. I think, when I think back to the campaign, it was almost like it seemed like a game of political rope-a-dope. It was the two campaign offices were directly across the street from each other on Market, and I always imagined the Shrewsbury folks looking outside the window and saying, "Oh man, they're a mess over there. They don't have they're way behind, early on." And then they said, "Well, we'll take it a little easy." And then before they knew what happened in those last 10 days, I think everything just came together, and the field campaign and the TV commercials started running. And, the messages started hitting the mailboxes, and then the perfect storm over on the south side too, with some of the missteps of the Shrewsbury campaign, and that's how it happens.
What would be one of the missteps that you maybe point to, from the political analyst point of view?
Yeah, from a political analyst, trying to be impartial here, I think one of the things I thought was a mistake up front was having a campaign manager from out of town. I think that was a mistake. Yeah.
I agree with that one.
They
sure.
hired somebody who I don't really know how experienced she was in general, but she had just about no experience locally here. She came from D.C. She spent most of the time.
Did anyone give you a good reason for that? Because I baffled me from the beginning.
Well, I thought maybe part of the reason was I thought maybe one of Shrewsbury's chief advisors, Pam Ross, might have wanted a female campaign manager. But we've got a lot of capable political women here who would have been fine. But I don't know why they did that. And actually, one of the things too in the Reed campaign we kind of jabbed him on was that most of his money was spent with outside people, outside firms, outside people. His media buyers were from D.C. I think most of his actual polling and stuff and calls were made from out of the area. Even though I think maybe a local person coordinated that. So I don't know. I think there were a lot of missteps on that part, but I think on our side though, it was a kind of coalition that you don't see very often. Kind of a I wrote on the blog at the time that it was like one of the rare coming together of the pro-black forces who wanted more African American representation, the pro-development people who wanted someone who was more progressive in their thinking of expanding the Renaissance in the city. And you just had all these people coming together, people who were just kind of, you saw on the Board of Aldermen, some people who were tired a little bit of how things were run down there. For me, and I think the last time we were on the show too, I made the statement that I thought that the most important endorsement in that race was the majority of the Board of Aldermen supporting Lewis Reed, and I think everybody laughed at me.
I scoffed at you.
Scoffed. But I still
scoff for that one. But he didn't win though.
Well, I think the reason being is because the Board of Aldermen just doesn't seem to be a true legislative body. it seems to be this collection of potentate that are concerned with their little area and trying to take credit for what goes on in that area and maybe outside that area a little bit. So I don't know. Now that he's got, is that the majority of votes? Is he going to be able to carry that? Is he going to set an agenda?
The majority.
And then say, I've got this block, and I can take it to the mayor and the comptroller when I sell it at ENA, and I've got force now. I am one of the strong branches.
All right. Well, the majority, I think, is still holding. I think one of the things that's important is that one of the reasons that Lewis was a good candidate was always his ability to count votes. You got in legislative bodies, unfortunately, you have a lot of folks who propose a lot of legislation, but their mouth is talking before they actually line up their votes. And Lewis is always good about lining up his votes. And I think that's a good quality to have in the leader of a legislative body too. And he's keeping his votes in line. And I think on the important things, you'll see some people coming together, and again, some coalitions being built. And that's really, I think, what I think the majority of the Board of Aldermen felt was like it was time to have some people coming together and people building bridges where they can, instead of just kind of playing this game of divisiveness, which is too prevalent, I think.
And how are the committee assignments? Have they changed at all?
Yeah, the committee assignments did change. I think for the first time in St. Louis history, there are majority African Americans on all the committees. We've got a lot of black chairmen, and there's a black majority on the HUD's committee, which St. Louis gets a lot of federal money because of its poor, mostly African American population to assist them, but that committee has almost always had a white majority, kind of ironically. So now some people are kind of in charge of their own destiny, and that's a good thing. But there's also, I think aside from race, there's also a good majority of progressive aldermen, who are kind of more in positions of power on the board. I think what you'll see now is some legislation actually moving the city forward to have a better chance of coming out of some of these committees, hopefully.
You're optimistic that Lewis will actually be able to get things done, because I think one thing about being automatic president, it sounds like it's a good position, but in terms of the power you have, the only power you have basically is to get other people to vote for something that you don't have any executive power outside of the board of ENA. It's going to have to be a coalition building deal.
It's all about coalition building. It's funny. The president's office gets a lot of calls from constituents who think that Lewis is somehow the alderman boss. Like if they are not paving alleys in their wards, or they're not doing enough development in their ward or wherever, somehow they think they can call. They're going to get him in there and get their alderman in trouble and call their boss.
Well, the title is somewhat misleading. President of the Board of Aldermen.
And it's a citywide election.
It's a citywide election, so you think it has a lot more power. It does have a lot of influence, obviously, in committee assignments, in directing legislation. But really, much like the mayor's office. The mayor's office is not. We don't have a strong mayor system in the city of St. Louis. And it does rely upon a lot of politics to make these offices what they are. And that's one of the things that we talked about in the campaign, was getting somebody in there who had a different vision for the office. If you just go by what the charter says, the person not only does not have a lot of power, but doesn't have to do much.
Right.
But
the mayor can fire people. The mayor can tell the director of streets to do this, he has the ability to fire him. The automatic president.
Well, to me, it seems like it's one of those positions, kind of like any senator, you can, if you get to a certain position, you're on, say you had the Ways and Means Committee, you can use your influence politically. Look at the way Lyndon B. Johnson did, throughout the 60s. He used his power in a very intimidating way. Politically, you can say that was a good move. And I would think that opportunity would exist for someone who sits in that position, president.
One of the things, and not only just the president, but the way our system is, and maybe this is one of the downfalls, I think, or one of the the things that maybe some of the people who supported charter change wanted to change, is that in our system it is very easy to stop something, but it's not so easy to push it forward. You get one chairman, or what has happened in the past is sometimes a certain chairman or a certain little small cluster of people on a committee could stop a big project from going forward, even if the majority of people obviously wanted it. And so, and that's when, that is when it does become important to have somebody who's in that presidency who can build coalitions and bring everybody to the table.
And that's what leadership position is about.
Exactly. And that is not necessarily spelled out in the charter or in the duties of the president.
It's not given to him. He has to kind of earn it and grab it, actually seize it to a large degree.
That's right.
So this is, I've got the hammer, literally. It's got the hammer.
It's a gavel, I think.
Okay. I know on pubdef.net you have something new, pubdef.tv. Explain what that is.
Yeah, pubdef.tv. One of the things that pubdef.net is known for is our videos. Actually, as we speak now, we're shooting a video. And so what we're...
Scary.
And we're pulling up PubDef TV.
Look at there.
And I can see with Fred and my face up the street, ready to go down.
And so pubdef.tv is just all videos all the time. No blogging, no comments, no words. It's just like an internet television station. So you go to the site, and all our latest videos will just play.
Give me an example of some of those videos.
Well, we shot some video from the Governor Blunt's press conference last week announcing Dario Gambaro as his latest appointment to the State Board of Education. Before that, we did this interesting feature. We started getting into some feature pieces, more like culture. We did a profile of this kid from South St. Louis who spends a lot of time chasing fires. He has a...
Is he arsonist or?
Well, that's a good question. We ran across his videos on YouTube, which is how we first found out about him. And that was my first question: is kind of
How do you know
subtle,
when the fire's
right?
on?
And his dad's a firefighter. He has a scanner, and he just
There are some bugs like that. Yeah.
and he just has cameras, and he follows them like every night. And so we did a piece on him, and we also have some sections that kind of have some of our classic videos in it. Some of our videos from the Jim Talent Clever Castle campaign. Our videos, I think a lot of these are exclusive videos from the student sit-in in the mayor's office who were there every day. So we got a lot of videos on there now. I think maybe about 50 or 60, and probably within a week we'll have about 100. And we have 400 videos on YouTube, so we're slowly making them all available on pubdef.tv.
Now you mentioned sitting in the mayor's office. That brings us to a school board, school district, and it's in the news this week. And on your pubdef.net, you have a item that DESE, Department of Education, Elementary and Secondary Education in the state, turned down the appeal on the loss of accreditation to city schools.
Yeah, that just happened just a few hours ago, and it was not unexpected. Basically, when DESE made the recommendation, or actually, when DESE made the recommendation to the State Board of Education to strip St. Louis Public Schools of its accreditation, it was the director, Kent King, who made that recommendation in the first place. And so this appeal was an appeal to Kent King.
On second thought,
Right,
no.
to re-examine his first decision, which he wrote a lengthy letter to the superintendent outlining why he thinks the state does have the authority to step in and should step in. On Wednesday, a judge, a circuit court judge in Cole County, which is in Jefferson City area, will hear the case, and the local board of education filed for a temporary restraining order or an injunction to stop the state from coming in and taking over St. Louis Public Schools. They also say that their attorneys read the statute authorizing the transition district as saying that even if the transitional district does go into place, that it wouldn't go into place until 2008, giving them another 6 months. So these are all things that the judge is going to have to decide, and if he upholds it, then something's going to go down.
Friday's when the accreditation is lost, correct? Supposedly.
Unless the judge steps in.
Yeah, but was he going to decide that quickly, do we think? Or?
I think what would likely happen is that quickly he would decide if there's grounds to put in an injunction, to give him time to hear the whole case, to see if the State Board of Education did overstep their authority or if it was lawful. So if there's going to be an injunction, it will probably happen within 24 or 48 hours.
Now, the transition board has to be appointed soon. The governor already appointed this guy. Are you thinking about what the mayor's going to do?
I think both the mayor and the president is going to announce theirs this week.
Can you give us not so much a name, but the sort of demographic profile of who this person could be?
Well,
the type of person that they're looking for.
Well, I think both are probably, they both have their own ideas of who they're looking for. According to the statute, they both have to be residents of the city of St. Louis, unlike the governor's pick. And that's probably.
But since the governor's pick is a white guy, you'd hope at least one or two or both of them are black folks.
That's probably good probability.
Yeah. But and they'll be in a position of power for. It's kind of open-ended, isn't it, in terms of how long it takes?
It is, and that's one of the issues that St. Louis Public Schools is bringing up on Wednesday in their case, is that this law is so vague. It is vague. In fact, it gives, unlike any other form of government I know of that exists in America, local, federal, whatever, it gives one person who the governor picked basically authority over over $250 million annual budget with needing only the approval of one other person on that board.
Two or three, yeah.
Only two or three. And so it is like an education czar or something. And one of the things too that's often been reported that is not true is it's also been reported in that this what's going to happen on Friday, if all things go as planned, is they're going to create a transitional school board, which is not true. What they're actually doing is creating a transitional school district. That's what the statute says. So what happens is basically you have all the assets of St. Louis Public Schools being turned over to a new entity. And this new entity is a new school district. The governor's pick has all the authority of a superintendent and a chief financial officer and a chief operating officer, how much ever authority he wants. So it is vague. It doesn't provide for a lot of oversight. In fact, the governor's pick, normally governor's picks are confirmed by the Senate. This pick obviously was not. It's a recess one. So.
Okay, you're listening to Antonio French of pubdef.net, and this is Clyde O'Bannon. We're going to take a quick break. Coming up next is The Wire with Thomas Cronin and Amanda Doyle. Every weekday and their guests discuss a broad range of issues relating to grassroots politics and culture. That's The Wire. From 7:30 until 8 p.m. Monday nights, right here in the community station, 88.1 KDHX. And please become a member of KDHX. Go to our website at kdhx.org and pledge your support to St. Louis Community Media. Tonight's guest in the Cronin Doyle Show is the one and only Lewis Reed. And I make this analogy. This may be the last time I make this metaphor, but president of Board of Elders is like being an admiral in the Bolivian Navy. It's like you got a title, but there's no ocean, there's no boats.
No, that's not exactly true.
I hope he sees that as a challenge.
No, because
Go look it out.
You have to remember too, the president of the Board of Aldermen also sits on the Board of Estimate and Apportionment,
Yeah, that's true.
which controls all the money.
1 of 3 votes, yes. Okay, we're on with Antonio French of pubdef.net. Quickly, I'll go through a couple quick topics here as we wind things up. I noticed you had an item on there about Sly Brown using the don't leave the players in the game. And then there was like 38 comments after that. What was up with that? You had to delete some of them. What was up with that?
I was teasing Sylvester about he mentioned it.
Was Sylvester doing those comments, you think? Or?
No. Actually, it was his column was about St. Louis Public Schools, and what I found is that if you write anything, if I post anything on PubDef, anywhere remotely having to do with even remotely with St. Louis Public Schools, there are going to be some people who jump on it and just use it to start another conversation about it. So that's what happened with that post.
I also dealt with the Liz Brown bill.
Right.
What was your stance on Liz Brown, the 25 G's?
My stance on it?
Well, review that.
Okay, they quickly, the school board voted, and then they voted to rescind it, but then they reinstated it, or whatever they did. It was to give $25,000 to Liz Brown, talk show host on WGMU in the morning, who also has a PUMP, which stands for something, but it's a PR push against charter schools, and they were going to pay that money to do that, and there was some controversy whether or not they should do that or not. That's something. But go ahead.
I mean, my opinion about the whole situation and a lot of decisions that have come down from the St. Louis public schools is that, the way our system is that we get people from everyday walks of life, and it's an unpaid job, and they get us get high-ranking positions in these boards. That's the nature of school boards all over the state and all over the country. And by their very nature, you get therefore amateurs. And a lot of times they're going up against very professional folks. PR spin meisters and high-paid consultants, but they themselves are just amateurs. And I think this is kind of an amateur. You've seen some amateur PR moves. I don't, again, obviously don't hate the players, hate the game, but if they wanted to give a contract to somebody, then they know that that Liz carries some enemies, and they're going to jump on anything her name is on, and so it would probably have been wiser to at least put it out for a bid,
Right.
And kind of go through all the steps and cross all your T's, dot all your I's, and in the end, if she still got the contract, so be it. But you just give your enemies things to talk about.
Well, yeah,
when you do it like this.
it's whatever you think of Liz. I mean, that's what Tuesdays. It's you knew that was going to be a problem. It's $25,000 in a time like this when you're spiraling downward. And I don't care who was doing that. I mean, charter schools is a certain image, and what kind of campaign to go against them at this point could have any effect. Plus, $25,000 to do.
And I think people raise a good point too. Is that the best campaign against charter schools or any alternative schools is St. Louis public school success. The more you succeed, the more people will choose you.
I also noticed on your website you mentioned this Friday between 5:30 and 8 in Forest Park, across the Zoo Pavilion 5, is going to be some kind of honorary Marty Frum Hall.
Yeah, there's going to be a memorial there. Some friends, relatives, well-wishers are all going to meet there in Forest Park for a few hours, and the organizers have said, whether you want to read a poem or bring a photo of Marty or just a photo, or however you want to express your feelings, it's just an opportunity to do it. Marty touched a lot of people's lives here in St. Louis City. She was one of the early supporters of Public Defender when we were just a fledgling newspaper that eventually died burned in flames. And so is Hessel. That's right. I think you were one of the original subscribers there.
Right,
So.
that's right. I'll take my credit there.
That's right.
But that's Friday, 5:38 in Forest Park, Pavilion 5. It's across from the zoo. I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, particularly in Fledgling Papers, Dave Beavers was on here last week, before,
Was it, last week?
and he's giving up the ghost on the AC Chronicle. So the last print edition, or will go out soon. And that's the feeling you're familiar with, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not as familiar with the feeling of having successfully ran a paper for as long as Dave had. Ours are not even printed many, not even a quarter of the issues that he's printed. So he definitely should feel good about that accomplishment. And he definitely added to the discussion, and he built a brand. So
And he'll live on the web too.
that's right.
And I don't want to let this pass that on your web. You have a mention of the NBA Finals. Larry Hughes. Yeah.
Good old Larry Hughes. That's when I was a senior, he was a sophomore, I think, at CBC. So he was still taller than me.
And Larry's having some problems with plantar fasciitis.
Yeah,
His foot.
that's what they say.
Listen to him. You know what they say.
The technical phrase for jump shot?
Oh my God! It's a bad heel.
just
It's a
kidding.
bad heel.
No, they're going to come back, though. I think I saw a sign. Somebody was raising a sign at the last game. What happens in San Antonio stays in San Antonio. So now they're going to Cleveland, and here we go.
I personally was hoping the Pistons and they could just because I got a little better matchup with the Pistons because they're better suited for Spurs than Cleveland.
We'll see. I mean, so far, it's definitely proved that way, but see if LeBron deserves that 23 on his pay.
All right, and give us that website again, and also the pubdef.tv.
It's www.pubdef.net and pubdef.tv.
Fred, got anything?
That's it.
Before we Bob tonight,
We do.
and it's time to go.
Well, he you'll have to listen. It transitions from one subject to another, and
Stream-
then ties it all together at the end.
Stream of unconsciousness.
Great.
Okay. Good night, Aunt Ruth.
Well, let me pick up one of the old ones. I used to